Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
Hey!
Great start.
I couldn't find any quotes for this.
I mean, it's a quotey episode, though, right? I mean, they do say a bunch of.
Yeah, but what am I going to? Am I going to scrub through the episode and transcribe something? That's more work than I've ever put into this.
Now,
not this podcast. I put a lot of work in this podcast, but in terms of the opening,
right?
You can attest.
You go to IMDb, you find a quote.
Usually, Ben says we're recording, and I go, wait. I need to look up a quote. I do it at the last possible second. So I watch the episode.
Can you feel it coming in the podcast tonight?
I mean, right, I could do something like that, or I was like, is there a tagline for when the pilot premiered? But you know what? I don't fucking feel like it. Here's the honest truth. We're going to give you a good episode, and this is a little bonus. We're giving you extra goods, and in certain ways, this is a mea culpa.
Right.
Because we gave you a little less episode last time.
Sorry.
Right.
Okay.
All right, here comes Ben.
Producer Ben here. I had to cut the last 30 minutes. There's nothing to be done. Equipment failure. These things happen.
It's not going to happen again, though, right?
It's not going to happen again.
That episode we just recorded, that great episode, that's all safe.
We saved
right?
that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
David's tapping on
It's very warm.
the sound mixer.
Well, we've been at it for close to 3 hours.
We've been at it. This is our second episode of the day. We just recorded a real good one, real hot one. But also, Audio Boom just moved. Big move from the 6th floor to the 14th floor.
Well, no, we don't need to. It's just these things happen. We've done
there's a lot of chaos.
Done hundreds of episodes together.
Equipment was getting moved. We were
every
rushing.
once in a while, you're going to
Think
have
of episodes.
Yeah, you're
We're
going to have
sorry.
Audio that's just going to get corrupted.
I think it's still a good episode. I'm sorry that things got cut off. The box office game got cut off. What else do you remember? There was some talk of Jesse James.
There's some Jesse James talk, and then I had a really funny joke where I talked about how Fran took me to the Philharmonic, and I realized how they're basically just a cover band.
Fuck, we lost that.
That was a really good bit. I forgot about that bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to work harder.
We gotta
scrub through
apologize
the audio,
more.
right? Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I'll revisit some. It was also because I had to get it out because we had the deadline, and I discovered it last minute.
This is the other thing I want to be very clear about, okay? We got a whole ad sales thing in place now. We can't fuck with release dates. We can't put things out late.
No.
And we've been recording a lot.
We have. We've had a bit of a flurry.
We've had a bit of a flurry.
McFlurry. Well, we had some vacations. Ben went somewhere. I went somewhere. You went. So we had a little break, and then we had a flurry.
Right. So we were trying to record things before the vacation, and then when we were all on vacation, I thought that maybe I was going to get a job.
There was a brief panic over, oh my God, we have to bank a zillion things at once.
I would be away for like over 2 months, and then, of course, we were reminded that I am unhireable. My career was over. But there was a brief window where Hollywood was like, coo.
Do you know who beat you out yet?
No, can I say what I know about why I didn't get the job?
Okay.
They wanted to save money by hiring someone local because
because it was not going to
shoot
film.
Would have filmed in a place, and let me explain this to David. There is a country called England.
That's true.
It's part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Why are you saying yeah?
Oh, I know the general details. I've heard of it. I live
feel
there.
like it's come up.
Wait, I'm sorry.
It's come up.
I'm sorry. Rewind the tape for a second.
Yeah.
You said you've heard of it.
Yeah.
And then what was the thing you said after that?
There
What?
13 years. 13 years, fellas.
I feel like this is, I don't know. I feel like it's come up.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it in the vaguest terms possible because they're a secretive company. Okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was up for a thing that would have been on Netflix.
Okay.
That could be any one of literally 5 million shows.
What do you mean? They only have a couple things, right, on that Netflix?
They were like
They have
this.
The Office.
Yeah. We have The Office and Friends.
Right.
Right.
Were you going to be on one of those?
Oh, wait.
I can't comment further.
All right, fine. It's probably The Office.
Fuck. That's a good show.
Yeah, good show.
Can't comment further.
You're probably just going to splice them into season 3.
I just want to explain this setup, okay? They were pointedly like, we think it would be good to have one American person on this show.
Oh, sure.
I was up for a position that was like, we want an American.
It's like an English show, but we'd like an American element.
Right.
kind of throw the balance off in a fun way.
And we were having the conversations about, like, do you think you'd want to live here? How many times would you want to fly back?
You would live in England.
I mean, the bit potential was
Wow.
It was
so
sensational.
rich. I
It
was so excited to be able to call in.
It was honestly, it seems like the biggest draw for you in total.
Unquestionably the hugest draw. The bit potential was going to be through the roof. Okay. But we were like having those logistical conversations that were like, would you rather live in a major city or like in the countryside closer to where we're filming? Or like, it wasn't that, paperwork wasn't beside, but it was like, this feels like it's going to happen. They clearly have like designed this to be able to hold hiring an American actor and flying them over and working out the work visa and all of that.
Yeah.
And then Netflix announced that they had lost subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And then their stock dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And then within 2 hours, they said, like, yeah, I think we're going to hire someone from England.
Wow. So it was
the
vagaries of the stock market.
Instantaneous.
Yeah. Like they finally had a quarter where they didn't add subscribers, and that was that.
And I don't want to say the job was in the palm of my hands, but let's say maybe I was one of 3 American contenders. Yeah. Who knows?
In the running. Right up there.
And then suddenly the entire notion of the position existing warped.
Right. All right. Well, what can you do?
Yeah.
The stock market.
It's the
Can't
stock
control
market.
that fucker.
The industry's terrible and I don't have a career. But the point is.
You have a podcast, though.
I have a podcast, thank God. And we were recording episodes like mad, and Ben only checked the Public Enemies thing right before it was going to go out.
You had done most of it, and then you were like, okay, let me check in on the end of this one.
We've been putting a lot of work on your plate recently because we've been recording overtime.
Yeah, I mean, it's just my mom, it was her birthday. She's 75 years old.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
75.
I know, it's crazy.
I forgot that your parents had you
older
Yeah.
parents.
So I came back,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to do my last sort of like double check on finishing out the episode, adding in the sound effects, and that's when I was just like, this is unlistenable. Even like taking the time, delaying the publish, like it was just you guys were.
It was like a CD skipping, you said.
Yep.
It is definitely a double-edged sword where I remember the last time that this really happened was Batman versus Superman.
Right.
Where we had to release like a very cut-down episode.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because we were like, it was a similar audio issue. It was like,
same thing.
This is just not really comprehensible, so we saved the pieces we can save. And with that one, it was all over the place. At least with this, we mostly just lost the end, right?
Yeah, but there's a little bit of classical music in the middle there, right?
And I cut the music because people were complaining to me.
Right. But people, so you re-upload it without the music?
It's fine, yeah.
This is what I was going to say, okay? This is what I was going to say. When the Batman vs. Superman episode came out, people liked it.
Yeah.
And they were like, man, how incredible that he
could have done with more.
Put in the work to save it. And it's now the double-edged sword of like, people like our podcast enough that everyone was furious.
Not everyone, but some people.
But I think all 3 of us on Sunday were like sweating it.
Yeah.
Because we got the text from you and I was like, what's going on? And then I woke up to like, I mean, we know what the culprit is here. We know what happened to the last 30 minutes of the episode. Podfade.
Oh, it was podfade.
New York Times called it.
Damn it.
Podcasting's
right, Ben's
over.
not enjoying this.
No,
It's podfade.
I am enjoying this. I mean, it's like,
It was podfade.
It's podfade. The New York Times, they need to probably contact me.
They do.
To do a follow-up about this sort of new sort of thing in the podcast space.
You should probably do a little press conference and sit down with New York Times for like an exclusive first interview. But I just think, God.
The first guy diagnosed with
podfade? Yeah. I think in a world where 2 people can't cynically put the smallest amount of effort into producing 3 episodes of a podcast with extreme entitlement.
I think they made 6. The podfade.
They made 6.
4 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if the industry can't help them, doing a podcast about a subject they claim, they themselves admit, have no knowledge or expertise in. They put minimal effort into. Only to try to make money.
Proudly.
Grow their
proudly
brands.
Said they want to put a lot of work in.
It clearly means that this art form is done. Yeah. And it also means that now the episodes being produced by people who do care about what they do are going to start fading.
Yeah, this business is obviously built on quicksand.
This, of course, is an episode on the pilot for Miami Vice.
But I'll just say
yes,
that I appreciate the passion. So I
do too.
We all appreciate the passion.
I take constructive criticism.
And, it's not really your fault, but yeah.
There's podfade.
Really just this little fucker right here.
Yeah. but these things happen, and anyway, you got a bonus episode.
So here's a bonus
Jonas.
episode. We're giving it to you right now. It is our Mann bonus. It is a Thursday bonus.
Little Thursday bonus.
It is about something he neither wrote nor directed, but nonetheless was sort of intimately involved with.
which is
as
often
love,
what we like to do.
Right. Which is the episode Brothers Keeper,
Uh-huh.
pilot of Miami Vice,
Mhm.
1984, 2-hour with commercials, pilot episode for a game-changing TV show.
It is weird that he neither wrote nor directed this.
Written by Thomas Carter, written by Anthony Yerkovich, directed by
Mhm.
Thomas Carter.
Thomas Carter, who later went on to direct Coach Carter.
That's true. He made Swing Kids. He made Save the Last
Dance.
Dance. Did a lot of TV.
He was a TV actor originally, then became a TV director, and then became a film director.
Yeah.
Off of this. I mean, this was so
Kind of that classic
huge.
old-fashioned Hollywood, like,
Yeah.
kid, you know,
But being able to say,
you've
I
been
think,
around a set.
right, you did the Miami Vice pilot, that's a calling card.
It's a pretty
People
tremendous
took
pilot.
note.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw some quote that said,
Just
David
spilled mints
just spilled
everywhere.
mints everywhere. And now the episode is ruined.
Oh, podfade.
There are
Oh
mints
my God! It was podfade
in the mixing board. They're fading into the mixing board. Pod fade strikes again.
Go on.
They said
Yes.
that everything in television had sort of looked the same until the Miami Vice pilot. They were like, there was the one big shift from black and white to color.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a pretty limited language in terms of how television looked.
Partly because of the schedule,
Mhm.
like how quickly you have to make these things.
Technical limitations.
Right.
All of these things. And, a language developed around, a smaller screen and how people process visual information differently in half-hour chunks, in, 12-inch stretches, whatever.
100%. I mean, this show is coming after what we'd say is like the sort of the dawn of, prestige, golden age TV, like Hill Street Blues,
Yeah.
Saying Elsewhere. Like, the shows where it's like, oh, like people start finally being like, television's kind of an art form.
They're elevating it. But I feel like it was always like the thing that's being elevated is the writing, the level of the writing, or the
100%.
honesty of the performances. They're dealing with tougher subjects, or greater emotions.
There's more realism. There's more grit. There's more, social honesty.
But once again, that was often the language and the acting.
Yes.
These shows still kind of would look the same.
Yes.
And then this is a show that looks and sounds very different.
Very cinematic. But also, we should say, MTV,
Mhm.
the music television channel. Music television?
What?
Wait, music television?
What? Clearly, you're putting a period between those two words. Those are two completely separate art forms.
No, music.
Music, comma, television.
Put them together.
What?
Music television, MTV, had launched in 1981 and had become a sensation.
Yeah.
And so, right, isn't that the famous story about Miami Vice? Is that, who is it?
They pitch MTV Cops.
Yeah, but I think it was someone Anthony Yerkovich, who wrote the pilot of Miami Vice and was a producer on it, worked on Hill Street Blues, which was this, and then this NBC executive. It's the NBC executive. What Tartikoff?
Brandon Tartikoff?
Isn't
Yeah.
it Tartikoff? Approached him and was like, "Here's the pitch: MTV Cops."
Mhm.
And Yerkovich was like, "Miami, like we could do it in Miami. Like
Yeah.
that's a sexy city, right? Like."
Mhm.
Yeah, it's Tartikoff. Yeah, he wrote a brainstorming memo that read MTV Cops. That's the legend.
How and when does Michael Mann get involved?
It's a good question, actually.
Okay, so you start
Pretty
looking that up.
early.
Yeah,
I think pretty much from when it's getting in. It's,
but he wasn't there for that germ moment of MTV Cops.
No, it was Tartikoff who supposedly came up with it. That he claims like it wasn't like that. I read an article about asset forfeiture and like it went from there. Like he tries to downplay the sort of sexiness of it.
But that was sort of where more visual stylization was coming into TV, was through music videos and commercials.
Yes,
Right?
But they yeah, and I guess just very early on, the production company is Michael Mann Productions.
Yeah.
So like Mann is just involved. He's kind of the showrunner, I think, for the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
After that, I think his involvement in Miami Vice
Right.
is very limited.
But it's
just the
weird
first
because
2
he was
seasons.
in title only an executive producer, but kind of functioned like the showrunner.
Yeah, I think he was the showrunner.
Never
basically.
wrote an episode, never directed an episode.
I don't
But
believe
you watch this and
he
you're
wrote
like,
one episode. He wrote one
Really?
episode called Golden Triangle. It was the 14th episode of the first season.
Oh.
Two-parter.
We should have watched that.
We could have.
We
He
could
didn't
have.
direct it. He just wrote
I
it.
know.
And it's like he co-wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
But I just think this is
It's so much a part of his legacy.
oh, totally.
Yeah.
No, but I was just going to say this is like one of the first shows that's like, what if the entire show looked like a music video or looked like a commercial? Which I feel like sometimes people use that as a complaint against things that are pretty.
Yeah, right.
Like
Flashy.
the whatchamacallit, Luca Guadagnino, I Am Love.
Sure.
I remember when that came out, people were like, it's just like a 2-hour perfume commercial.
Right.
And I'm like, perfume commercials look good. That's not a problem. Everything else in the movie is good.
Yeah,
It's got a good script and really good acting. I don't like. They're saying it's a negative that the thing is
They're saying
really
it's
visually
soulless,
sumptuous. The
though,
entire
right?
time.
Like it's one of those things where it means like style over substance when you're using that insult, right? Like,
but I think,
I feel distracted by the prettiness.
look, there are examples of that. But I think most often when people say that, they mean I am distracted by the prettiness.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the first shows that was like, it was viewed as if you have that much style, you're overcompensating. You're covering for something else. You know? I think that was always sort of the perception. If you're too flashy, what are you covering for?
Right.
And this was a show that was like, no, the flash is the thing and also the thing is the thing.
Right.
We're going to do both. We're going to do try to write like Hill Street Blues level scripts and have real grounded performances and make it all look fucking awesome.
And part of Mann's thing, I'm sure you read this.
Mm-hmm.
No earth tones.
None.
No red.
Out of here.
No brown.
Mm-mm.
No.
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 Neon, blue,
Neon, right.
pink, purple.
Hell yeah.
This show kind of single-handedly elevates men's fashion in the United States. Like, people were not,
crazy.
American men were not interested in Italian
How to-
suits.
Right, yeah, right.
You
How
know?
to dress well.
Right. Anything like that. I mean, there was just there was a very standard, this is a well-dressed man.
Well, like Brooks Brothers versus, any Italian maker.
Let's creative fashion, if you want to say, outside of a standard formal wear. Yes, right. That he brought all the Italian fashion stateside, which there was not really a market for Italian fashion for men in the United States. And it boomed after this.
Crazy.
But it's just that classic
The shoes.
shoes, no socks.
Right.
White blazer, maybe like a pastel, like light blue or pink shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe not even a collared shirt, right?
Right. Sometimes
Sunglasses,
T-shirts, sometimes
slick
a collar.
back hair,
Yeah.
and often the sleeves are a little short.
Right.
yeah. Skinny
Rolled up.
tie.
If he's wearing a tie.
He's
I
wearing a
guess
tie.
Tubbs has a skinny tie on.
Yeah.
Don Johnson, you said this in our Miami Vice episode. I think it's accurate.
He looks like what people think they look like when they're on cocaine.
Right. People who are like, yeah, man, they're like, right, I look like Don Johnson.
I've never felt better.
They look like Colin Farrell.
Right. They
If
think
at best.
they look
Right.
like Don Johnson.
Right. They look like they haven't washed in a week. Don
Right.
Johnson.
Very pretty. David's
Where's
taking
the-
a
where's the
bite.
pretzel?
Here. Gonna hand David a bag
He's,
of pretzels.
he's a snack.
He's a snack. And we lost more listeners. It was kind of startling to watch us and be like, God damn it, is that a beautiful man?
Right.
That is a very, very pretty person.
We should say with Mann, his trajectory is he made the Jericho Mile, right?
Mhm.
He'd worked on like TV shows before then.
Yep.
He makes the Jericho Mile. Then he goes off. He makes Thief.
So good.
So good.
Yeah, I forgot we got to do our ranking at the end of this episode.
That's right.
Go on.
He goes off. He makes Thief.
Mhm.
He makes Manhunter.
Mhm.
And then he's back.
Mhm.
And he's bringing those kind of neon sensibilities
Mhm.
to this show, right?
Sure.
The neon noir.
Yes.
And then he makes. Oh, he'd already. No, I'm sorry. He hadn't made Manhunter. Manhunter's 86. It's in the middle of this.
Okay.
He had only made The Keep. Thief and The Keep.
Crazy.
Manhunter's
he's, right.
86.
He's made a very well-regarded debut, and he's made a disastrous horror film that was taken away from him.
Right.
Yeah.
But had a good role playing game.
Had a really good role-playing game that we will continue at some point on the Patreon. David's, what is he doing? He's slam dunking? 2 thumbs up? He's doing the 2 boner fingers. He's pointing to the sky,
I feel like athletes do that a lot.
giving it up to God.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Give it up to the big man upstairs.
Okay, fine. I will give it up to the big
Had
man
you ever
upstairs.
seen Miami Vice before?
I had never seen an episode. I'd certainly seen a lot of clips.
Mhm.
I feel like maybe I've, been channel surfing, caught a bit. I've never sat down and watched a proper episode.
I don't think I have either.
I
may have caught an episode or two just in reruns, but I
I
don't
was
think I've
surprised
ever really.
by how successfully this kind of plays as a self-contained film.
Yeah, this plays great.
Because I always thought of Miami Vice as like, oh, it's a very stylish procedural.
Which I think it does sort of evolve into.
Sure, but this is very much an emotional story.
Right.
With some crime at the middle of it. But this is very
but
much a character.
It has an arc. It is a classic pilot, like they kind of don't make them anymore. Like it used to be, anytime you watch a TV show, we're talking into the 2000s,
Yeah,
you'd have to watch the pilot first and be like, oh, right, this is like a movie.
right.
And then the second episode might be on different sets. Maybe even actors will have been swapped out.
Right.
And the second episode is going to be an extremely lame reintroduction of everything.
Yeah.
Because they shot this 9 months earlier.
They often would shoot the pilot as a backdoor sort of thing where, well, if it doesn't work, then we just air it as a TV movie.
We can just put it on.
No matter what, we get the value of it. So make a slightly higher value, more self-contained, hour 40-minute narrative. And if it works, we do it as a series.
Right.
And a lot of those would get released theatrically
Sometimes like something,
in Europe.
Yeah.
Some TV movies as well, like Jericho Mile.
Yeah.
But like, Battlestar Galactica was released as a film.
Right.
A lot of these
Not
things,
a bad pilot, even though it's a total ripoff of Star Wars.
Yeah, never seen it.
But right, I just mean like if you're sitting someone down and you're like, let's watch the X-Files pilot, or what? It's like, it's going to feel like a little movie about these two people meeting and having an adventure and, and there'll be some dangling stuff, but it will kind of be complete.
Well, that's the weird thing about pilots, and this is finally kind of shifting now because of the way the industry works. But you kind of have to make a pilot that works as a complete thing, but also simultaneously sets the stage for how you could make years of this thing.
Right.
Which is almost impossible to do both simultaneously. Where like anyone who's watching a pilot, whether it's a focus group or the executives themselves, they want to watch it and be like, I feel a sense of completion watching this. I feel satisfaction watching this, but also I see the profitability.
Entertain me, but proof of concept.
Right. It's got to be both at the same time.
That's insane.
Which is why I usually don't like pilots.
They're usually bad.
When I was a TV critic, I would often be like, yeah, you kind of have to get past the pilot.
Yeah.
And I would admire pilots if they sort of found a way to do what you're talking about. Like the Freaks and Geek pilot is one of the great pilots.
Cheers.
My So-Called Life. Cheers.
Yeah.
My So-Called Life is arguably the best episode of the show until maybe it's like last two.
Do you have a go-to answer for the best pilot of all time? Is there one that jumps out to you?
Freaks and Geeks is usually my answer. I think the 6 Feet Under pilot.
Language.
I think the 6 Feet Under pilot. That's a show that I am mixed on.
Yeah,
but I think that pilot is basically a fantastic movie. Like the ending is like pretty phenomenal.
Yeah,
you don't really need to make more 6 Feet Unders.
Yeah,
like they made a show and the show is up and it has a lot of great stuff in it. But like the way that ends, you're kind of like, wow, that was kind of great.
Yeah,
good story.
Law and Order really set up.
There's going to be law. And
look, they wrote a big check for themselves in terms of having to set up both of those things in one pilot.
But I saw that and I was like, I could see this every week.
I get it. I got room for the ampersand in the middle.
Trying to think of other great pilots. Those are because the West Wing has a great pilot.
Yeah.
Well, do you like NYPD Blues?
I love NYPD Blues.
Yeah.
I don't know if the pilot.
No, Ben's talking about NYPD Blues, which is a jazz club that he goes to where off-duty cops play the sax. NYPD Blues.
I'm trying to think of this. Someone thinks they're funny.
Someone's in a mood.
The Sopranos pilot. That's the other one. The Duck Sleeve.
Sure. I've never seen The Sopranos pilot.
I highly recommend it. The Sopranos pilot is bulletproof. Wow, it has this whole arc with the ducks in the pool.
Yeah.
The ducks leave at the end and you're like, again, you're sort of like, I understand that this is setting things up.
Yeah.
We're meeting characters. There's going to be more of this. But I do feel very emotionally satisfied.
But isn't that weird thing where you're like, the best pilots of all time also end on a note where you're like, they could have just not made the show. This would work as its own thing.
But you wouldn't have met the supporting characters.
I'm not saying the show would be better off if it hadn't done it. But for a pilot to really work as its own thing, it needs to feel like it doesn't need the rest of a series.
Right.
And very often there are things where it's like, I remember like when Community aired, I was like, I don't really like this episode. I see how it could become a good show. Right. Like, I don't think the pilot's
30
very
Rock
good.
is like that.
Right. 30 Rock's the same thing. Like a lot of comedy shows are like, this sets the stage for what I could see myself enjoying.
There's a lot of room for growth.
I'm going to give
I
it
feel
3 weeks to see if they like find the tone.
Yeah, I mean, the classic test, especially when I used to write about TV, is like, right, the second episode, write it off. It's going to be bad. Second episode of every TV show is bad. It's everybody restating their business. They're universal.
Now I'm trying to think what the best second episode.
There might be good ones. There's almost none.
Okay.
The third episode or the fourth is usually where it's like, here's maybe a second writer is coming in. They're trying to sort of be like, here's how this show's going to work now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the Lost pilot is a great pilot. It's this action adventure. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The second episode is the Kate episode. That's kind of like introducing Kate and like, oh, she's a woman of mystery. And you're like, well, okay, fine. You know, and like, but then the third episode is technically episode 4, but yet because the pilot's a 2-parter, is Walkabout. Where they're like, here is the limits of our imagination on this. And you're like, holy shit. Like, oh my God. You know, like that's what they're going for.
I also think that's the point in production where the actors and the characters
are starting to settle into their characters. Right.
And so the writers are starting to go like, oh, here's what this actor can do. Let's write to them. And B, the actors starting to take a little more authorship of the character, which is an exciting thing to see that you don't get to see in plays, because even if someone's playing the character 1,000 times, the text is remaining the same.
Yes.
Or in movies, the idea of it being an ongoing thing, and especially in traditional broadcast models, the thing where it's like episode 4 is airing and that person is shooting episode 7 or 8. And they're getting the feedback of what the audience is responding to. The writers, the directors, the actors, and they're reacting to that and going like, ooh, double down on this, drop this. I miss that.
This is the other thing I wanted to say.
Pipeline.
The thing is, pilot episodes now are kind of dead.
Yeah.
Usually a show has already been ordered to 13 episodes or whatever by Netflix or whoever. So it's sort of like the pilot episode's really just 10 minutes of plot.
Right.
Like, it feels like this very squishy, setup-y, like kind of nothing happens episode.
I'd say one of two things happens. Either someone sells a series and then they just start writing the whole thing.
Right.
Or someone writes a pilot as sort of a writing sample.
Yeah.
And they commit to doing a full season off the pilot script. But by the time they shoot it, they have already written the other episodes. So they've maybe rejiggered it. Amazon was still doing pilots. Tick was one of the last Amazon pilots.
Right, because Amazon had that old-fashioned, like, we'll show you the pilot, and then a year later you'll see a show.
Right. And it's a thing that still irks me where there's shit like that we had to change the suit 2 more times.
Right.
Because the pilot suit was literally, I don't think I've ever said this on the podcast, the suit they built got partially confiscated by the TSA when they were flying it from LA to New York.
Yeah.
And someone had to pull a fucking 48-hour mad rush to completely construct and engineer a new mechanical suit for Peter.
Right.
And we just were like, well, we have to film this.
Right.
And we shot a pilot with a suit that looks like fucking hot diarrhea and where he couldn't hear anybody or could barely move. And
he does look crazy in the pilot.
And then 10 months later, we were just like, well, the suit's different now.
Right.
We couldn't reshoot the whole thing.
Right.
You know,
what are you going to do?
Right, but that's like what used to
that's what pilots
happen,
are always
where,
like.
It was like, oh, that's weird. They didn't realize that character isn't British yet.
Or like they,
these major shifts happen in the first couple episodes, and now everything is like, no, it's really like a 10-hour movie.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, it's like they shot the pilot at that school, but then that school got knocked down, or another show had it. Yeah. So they finally built some sets. So now every episode, the school's going to look different.
But even if it's less clean, I feel like we're all guys who like being able to watch that evolution happen. Like, it's fun. There's something exciting about watching a show figure itself out in a way that can only happen in that model. I've been watching all of Seinfeld and watching the evolutions of it.
The Seinfeld Chronicles. That was the pilot.
Elaine's not in it.
Right.
They thought the only female character was going to be the waitress.
Kramer's called Kessler.
Yeah.
Weird.
And he's just kind of like a
he's
schmo.
just like a little weird.
Right.
Yeah.
And you watch over the course of the season, they're like, what if the hair's a little bit taller?
Right.
Every episode they push the hair a little bit.
God, and yes, I don't know who it was, but someone was like, can we have a woman in this that's not just an all-knowing waitress? Who's like, Seinfeld, you crazy bum.
The waitress character sucks.
She's not great.
Yeah.
God, she must be I could be so fucking rich. Right? Isn't she like who was the Pete Best or whoever the fifth Beatle was?
That's what I thought was going to happen with Melanie.
Sure, you'd watch it Stratosphere.
That I would be the seventh friend.
And people would be like, weirdly, Griffin Newman was once in it. Then he was written out due to incompetence. We assume.
Right.
Who knows?
Griffin
he hasn't been
Newman,
heard from again. He walked into the sea.
Right. I was going to make a joke about why people would know my name, and walking into the sea is nicer than committed some sort of awful slaughter.
Oh God. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right, Miami
Okay,
Vice though.
Miami Vice, though.
Great pilot.
Great pilot. And it even feels like...
When that theme hits.
Yeah.
Wait, what were you gonna say, man?
Arrested Development pilot.
Good pilot.
Good pilot.
Good
That's a
pilot
good
in that it's
comedy
introducing you to the format of that show.
and it's stylistic.
Yeah, but
good pilot,
Russo's.
but episode 3, I think, is bringing a buster, is like when you go like, fuck, this is a
Right.
great show.
they
Yep.
figured it
So
out.
it's to your point.
Right.
I think so.
That one I watch and I go like, really good pieces. There's good stuff here.
There's some shows where you show someone the pilot, they're like, I can't wait to see 50 of these.
Yeah.
Some shows where you show them the pilot with the caveat of like, okay, so this is going to be intro and we're going to get there. Well,
Right.
you're going to settle into this show. I'm going to the bathroom now. I got it.
You're going to the bathroom. Jesus Christ.
This is what we're going to talk about. Griffin.
What are we going to talk
We're
about?
not going to do bits.
Okay.
Real talk.
Real talk.
We're going to see Kong later.
We're seeing King Kong tonight.
We're seeing the big boy himself on B-Way.
It's about to close.
It is closing to not great reviews.
No. And a massive, massive financial write-off.
Yeah. No, I don't think that they walked away with money.
No. They walked away with negative money, with anti-money.
Yeah.
But I think you said, I got to see the big boy. And I said, I got to see this puppet. And so we have met in the middle.
And
In
we're
unison,
going.
saying, we got to see this big puppet
Well, I
boy.
tried to get tickets to the island.
You wanted to go to Skull Island.
I wanted, and it was so expensive.
Very
No
expensive.
Airbnb.
This time of year?
Oh,
In
I know.
August? Like we're
Because it's-
tiptoeing into August?
Yeah, it's
This
like
is-
prime
Yes.
travel season.
Right. Tons of people love to vacation on Skull Island.
Yeah, so this felt like the more accessible thing.
And the show is doing so poorly, they are actually paying us to go see.
Yeah.
Not because of this podcast or the platform.
No.
We were just walking down the street and someone's like, please.
They literally just gave us $50 to say, please come back here at 7 tonight.
It almost felt like a monkey paw situation. I'm like, have we inherited some sort of curse?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think we'll be cursed.
I don't either. I think we're going to have a great time.
Honestly, I think it's going to be really cool.
You know what
It's a big fucking puppet. It's like huge.
I'll tell you what my concern is.
Uh-huh.
I think we might have too good of a time.
I'm going to have to like keep going back till it like closes finally.
Yeah, and you have a very limited window. There's like 10 performances
What
left.
are you talking? Oh, you talking about the big boy?
Well, you'll never know.
Okay. Well, I listen. Like
No,
tomorrow.
you won't. Not this one.
I mean, he could take it out.
No, it's staying in.
Okay,
Kong, we're going to see him.
I know you're
I
seeing the
tried
big boy.
to get to the island, Skull Island.
Okay.
Very expensive.
Sure, that's like a $2,000 ticket. On the
You get to repeat that joke because you're not going to be allowed to hear this episode. David,
You ever been to Miami?
I have.
yeah.
I shot in Miami once
Ooh,
for the television series Graceland.
right.
You were on Graceland?
I was on Graceland.
You went to Graceland.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my
Cool.
best oldest friend, Derek Simon,
Wrote
his
on that
first paid job as a writer
Mm.
was on the TV show Graceland, and he convinced them to hire me as a Southern redneck.
That's right.
Cool.
Threaten a woman with a shotgun.
Oh.
I'm a little slow. I throw flies into a bug zapper
Okay,
with chopsticks.
sure.
It's probably my best work.
Cool. What
But
was it called?
I was there. I was there for several days.
It was called Sense Memory.
Yeah. Oh boy. And if you folks know the tens of cents I have made off of that episode, those residual
Sense of
checks,
Sense Memory.
tens of cents memory.
How is Daniel Sunyata?
Didn't work with him.
How is Aaron Tveit?
Did not work with him.
Who'd you work with?
Vanessa Ferlito.
Oh, she.
Pleasant.
Okay, there you go. Reese Coiro, did you work with him?
No, I think Vanessa was the only regular I worked with, and then it was a lot of guest stars.
Yeah.
These Southern brothers.
What was Reese Coiro just in where I was like, oh, that was Reese Coiro. You know, that was Entourage guy.
I don't know. I don't know.
What
who that
was it? Oh, God, I'm going crazy.
is. Have you
now.
guys been to Miami?
No, never. I've been to Tampa. That's the only place in Florida I've ever been.
Ben,
I have been to Miami.
Whoa.
unsurprising.
Yeah. I've partied in Miami.
You?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, party in Miami?
I had a very good time.
Oh boy.
Let's just say I partied all weekend.
Okay.
Didn't sleep much.
Yeah.
If you catch my drift.
Yeah, you were Don Johnsoning all weekend, is what you're saying.
I was having fun. It was dancing. It's got a great club scene, great food.
Yeah.
Wait, they have a good club scene over there?
Yeah,
Miami?
have you heard?
Miami, Florida?
Oh, right, of course. He's in the Bones sketch of Tim Roth of Think You Should Leave. He's the Bones of Their Money. He's the other guy.
The Bones are there.
Right. No, famously, when an NBA team rolls through Miami to play the Miami Heat, the Bones of Their
They
Money.
die.
No, but it's just one of those things where like people kind of make jokes about like, oh, I hear they arrived last night, and then you see them and they're kind of like, they're like, oh, they've been up.
David, once again, for the listener at home, doing a great, entirely physical bit. David
Of like someone lazily dribbling and throwing it.
It was funny. I don't know what to tell you. David did it very well. He was yawning and dribbling at the same time. It was very precise physical humor. Yeah.
But I think Miami's rep in the 80s is probably different, right? It's probably like,
Well, it's a major hub for drug activity.
I mean, that's the big
I'm
thing.
aware that's why it's set there,
That's
right? Because a
why.
lot of drugs come in through Miami. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
I don't
I feel
know.
like Florida has only like grown and exploded in population over the last 20. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it's only become bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know.
Our
I know
pilot,
Miami is like going underwater.
our
right?
pilot
Well, yeah.
discussion, right? You're right. Miami's disappearing. The world's terrible. It will end.
I mean, so is the island of Manhattan. I mean, it's an island.
We got a little more
What are you
time.
talking about?
Yeah, we live on an island.
I don't think so.
That's why I'm on island time. That's why I'm always late to record.
Oh, my God. That's fucking good.
What
Thank
if
you.
that's his excuse? Like, sorry,
I'm on island.
Jesus.
I live in Manhattan. I'm on island
I'm
time.
on island time.
Jesus.
I'm a Manhattan boy. I'm on island time perpetually. I was born into island time.
You were. So was I.
It's actually rude of people to think I'd show up on time.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of my control.
How dare they?
Blame my mom. She didn't get on a plane, pop me out somewhere else while she still had the chance. I was born into
Do you have
island
dual
time.
citizenship?
Well, it's a sensitive subject.
Okay, we won't talk about it.
I
Continue with
I
your-
would have been able to get dual citizenship to the UK if I'd gotten this job.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
because my mother's British by birth.
Weird.
Wait a second.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry, what?
Like she was on vacation? I don't know how
Yeah,
to do this.
hold on. No, you've got it. Stick with
You've
it.
got it. Stick
Hold
with
on. Your mom. Because your mom, we've all know, is kind of like classically, like, it's like a French.
It's
I think it was a
French-
French lady.
It's French
Exactly.
lady. So
Right.
we'd assume.
French lady.
This-
French lady, French. She's born in France.
This is the twist.
Born in England.
Wait, but okay, so then was she on vacation? Or wait, her mom, because she wasn't out yet, but
My grandmother
uh-huh.
was married to a British man.
Wait,
Wow.
what?
Right.
Who
Right.
was
So.
my mother's father.
Right.
And my grandmother left him for a French man
Oh.
and took my mother with her.
Hmm.
And so my mother identifies as French,
Yes.
but I am technically of British blood.
Oh my.
What?
It has never come up
David,
on
come
David.
on.
It has genuinely never come up on this podcast.
Is that true?
We've
It's
been
never
friends for
come up?
5 years. Have I ever explained that to you?
I think you might have. Yes.
I think
you have.
not. That's never
No,
come up
it's
on this
never come up.
podcast.
I think you have. But it's okay. But not on the podcast for sure.
No.
What? I can't believe it.
I could get a UK passport if I spent enough time there, if I worked there, if I was there for long enough. I've
Really?
looked into this.
Okay. Cool.
I'm not saying this job would have covered all of it,
Right,
but
right,
it would have
right.
it would have started the thing in
You have
motion.
to swear allegiance to the Queen, though. You willing to do that?
Yeah, Queen Ada
Uh,
from A Bug's Life.
Oh my God.
Trying to think of a Queen character I respect, and that was the
David
And
is
that was
David
the
is-
first?
David is like.
What does she even
swiping
look
the
like?
stinks away
Princess
from
Ada.
his-
She becomes a queen at the
nose.
end.
oh, so she's not even a queen in the movie. She's
At
just
the
sort
end of the film, they give her the crown.
Isn't that Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
It is.
Yeah.
She's a little purple ant. She's got kind of that JLD sauciness.
Well, it's that thing where it's like female cartoons have eyelashes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that way, she's a lady.
Yeah. Ada. Queen Ada, me, Princess Ada.
I haven't seen that movie in 20 years.
Do you know it's a masterpiece? What if Capra of Bugs?
Yeah, no, right. Well, anyway, I that's crazy to hear. I can't believe. I'd love it for you to have a British passport. Yeah, there she is.
Ada.
There she is.
This is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You're talking about sometimes you show a pilot to someone and you're like, it'll get good later, right?
Yeah.
There are also things like Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
Sure.
Everyone's like, fuck, they're hitting the ground running and the show can't sustain itself. There are other phenomenons where like a pilot is so hot that the networks go crazy for it. Right. And then the show is like canceled by episode 5.
Right. Yes. There absolutely are. There are warning signs in like the Studio 60 pilot, for example. But like, yes.
But also sometimes if a pilot's too good, there's nothing left to do afterwards.
And that can happen. Yeah. You can have like a really sexy pilot and you never figured out what your show is week to week.
Right. Now, I was surprised that the Miami Vice pilot is so much an origin story between these two guys with so many twists and turns in terms of what you learn about them and what they learn about each other.
Right.
And that it ends on this note where it's like,
I guess we'll be partners.
But also like, oh, this whole system's kind of fucked. I
Yeah,
mean, we'll
that's
get
true.
to that in a second, but like it almost resolves all of its own thematic concerns within this 1 hour and 40-minute thing.
It does, but it has the promise of like, well, if nothing else, we can work together.
But it's all, in that way, it's such a good blueprint that there's a part of me, I'm not surprised, because of course, we're talking about Michael Mann, who's a lunatic and never does anything the easy way.
Right.
But Occam's razor, you would go, well, Miami Vice movie, do for Miami Vice pilot what you did for LA Takedown.
And he was right, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna. I mean, partly because the Miami Vice pilot's
more
actually
successful,
famous,
right?
But instead of doing an origin story kind of like, here's how these two cops get together, it's like, no, not only will we drop you into the middle of their relationship, but we'll drop you into the middle of a scene,
right?
Like a scene. We'll drop you into the middle of them doing their job.
Their relationship has almost no tension anymore. No. The movie's just about their relationships with other people.
100%. They won't interact that much,
right?
Whereas the Brothers Keeper begins with Don Johnson losing his partner.
It begins first with
Cubs.
Philip Michael Vincent. No,
Philip Michael Thomas.
I always get Jan Michael Vincent,
the three names,
and Philip Michael Thomas confused.
Yeah, Philip Michael Thomas. You're right. It begins with Cubs,
who's very good in this.
Yeah, he's great.
I feel like his legacy is now one of those examples of like, oh, he was like a David Caruso, where his like ego got too big because of the show. And
really,
like,
that's his legacy. Doesn't he like direct movies and stuff? Like he has a whole directing career.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like he had a legacy of asking for like a pay raise and then it became difficult. Right. I feel like there were behind the scenes.
But Don Johnson is the one that they almost replaced.
Right.
He actually was like, you're going to give me a big pay raise. I think it was like 3 seasons. Whenever the show is like just absolutely scorching.
I think it's cool that they set up he has multiple tubs in his apartment.
Okay. Yes, I was a little bit wrong about this. Okay.
Mark Harmon. I was trying to find the person they were like, we'll just replace you with Mark Harmon.
Yes. Right.
Which is sort of like, as much as Don Johnson became sort of a famous has-been.
Yeah.
Even though he had like Nash Bridges after this, he was like always around.
It always worked. Yeah.
But like he did kind of become a famous has-been. Like it does feel like, Mark Harmon's a little too cute, right? Like,
totally.
You need someone who kind of has that thing of like, he might just shoot you, right?
Yes.
He sort of lived a life already.
I got it wrong. I was confusing Philip Michael Thomas with someone else. I'm forgetting who.
Okay, fine.
But another Caruso type who's like, I'm too big for this and made a bunch of demands.
Caruso is the one where like he lasted a season.
Right.
He was so hot, so fast that he was like, well, clearly I'm out of here.
I knew he didn't leave the
sort
show.
Of the Chevy Chase thing.
But I thought that he was always threatening to leave the show. Mm-hmm. I was conflating that with, I knew there was some weird story with him. Here's what it is. Philip Michael Thomas is the man who coined the term EGOT.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Right. That's right.
Because he, Babe Ruth style, called his shot that he was going to be.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I'll win all 4.
I'm also, he's not a director. So I was thinking of the other triple-barreled guy from Starsky and Hutch.
Right. Who's the director of
made
Kazam.
Like the Running Man and shit.
Now, John Michael Glazer?
No.
But Glazer's in there.
Yeah, I think it is. What is it?
What's his name?
Great top. Paul Michael Glazer.
I was 2 out of 3 ain't bad, baby.
You were 2 out of 3. And didn't he direct The Running Man? Yeah, The Running Man and Kazam, Something's Gotta Give. He's an actor in that one.
He plays the ex-husband. On the Wikipedia, it just says, Thomas coined the acronym EGOT, meaning Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, and references plans for winning all 4. And then in one of the cruelest sentences on any Wikipedia entry ever, he has not, as yet, been nominated for any of these awards.
He's been nominated for 1 Golden Globe, I believe,
But
which
has
does not factor into
Received
the
a
EGOT.
People's Choice Award
Hey,
and a Golden Globe nomination.
that's not nothing.
It's not nothing.
He's a voice in a lot of Grand Theft Autos.
That's what it's saying,
Yeah.
that he now does a lot of voiceover work. He also was weirdly part of the Psychic Readers Network. He was the spokesman for the Psychic Readers Network and was only replaced by Miss Cleo.
Oh,
Oh, Miss Cleo's a legend.
And he
obviously.
sued for breach of contract because they'd replaced him.
All right.
But it was originally the Philip Michael Thomas Psychic Readers Network. Interesting career.
Sure.
Now, I feel like he's a guy where they joke about the fact that he didn't, really amount to anything after Miami Vice, especially because of the EGOT thing. He is so fucking good in this.
Terrific.
I was stunned by how good his performance is.
Yeah, man. I did know that his origin was he's the New York cop who's like an outsider. But I'd totally forgotten. I
Very
like
surprising
that. Yeah.
when this pilot opens in New York.
Right.
in,
Where,
like, a
again, another
classic-
thing that Mann
Yeah.
junked in the show. But
Right.
no talk about that.
Right. But he's like a New York street cop sitting in a shitty car
Right.
in a shitty neighborhood.
Right.
These guys come up and try to mug him, and he takes out a snub-nose shotgun. What's Ben looking at?
He's looking at the text, but I think we
Oh,
should talk
gotcha.
about movie.
Oh, we're going to talk about
Yeah, I think we should talk about movie.
movie?
Yeah. Oh boy, here we go. I was trying to get around the ding dong, but here it is. Movie.com.
Ding dong! Let me get the door. It sounds like someone's at the other side of the door, right?
All right, bring him in.
Excuse me. I think you mean bring her in.
Okay, it's Movie the Cinephile Cow.
That's the cineast cow.
Cineast Cow, sorry. Well, anything to say?
Me?
No, you, cow.
Let me ask the cow. No, she seems good.
Great. This episode is brought to you by Mubi, curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe.
curated is the key word, man.
Yeah, every day.
I love movie. I've been really using
It's
this
a great way to
service
experience
regularly.
movies because they have a lot of different things. They try and mix it up every day. They premiere a new film
Getting good recommendations.
every day.
If it's on Mubi, it's worth contending with.
Every day something leaves.
But also, something comes.
All things must pass.
Yeah.
Pass. As George
Yeah.
Harrison once said.
Sure.
So there's all these great movies, but you got to watch them.
You gotta.
Can't just cool your heels and be like, yeah, I'll get to that. I'll put it on a list.
Ticking, baby.
No, you got to check this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some stuff they've got. Well, no, yeah, because they can have like timeless classics, cult favorites, acclaimed masterpieces, new, recent releases.
David, why don't you check the website and tell me what's on there right now?
Well, one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years is on there. Goodbye, First Love. Mia Hansen loves. Timeless romantic masterpiece.
Sure.
Have you seen it?
I have.
Check it out. Great breakup movie.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing some Errol Morris's. A
Ooh.
great documentarian. So if you've never seen like The Thin Blue Line or Gates of Heaven, they got Vernon, Florida.
You want to feel like you're making eye contact with people? Watch the Errol Morris movies.
That guy in Tarotron, baby.
Baby.
Right? Like those
Yeah.
seriously, those are really fun. I think they have maybe some more coming. A lot of Errol Morris right now.
What else we got?
Those are pretty good. Jeez, give me a second.
Cineast Cow's getting impatient. She's stomping.
She is stomping. We've got a Bellatar.
A Bellatar. That's a quick
The Man
watch.
from London. Yeah, right. Co-starring Tilda Swinton. How
What?
have I never heard of this? Co-directed with Agnes Hranitsky.
Oh.
I had to
Okay.
sound that
But
one
if you're the kind of
Ooh,
person,
David Mackenzie's Spread. Made in between David Mackenzie being hot and David Mackenzie being real hot.
The Ashton Kutcher movie.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Anne Heche, I want to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a movie where the conflict is Ashton Kutcher is too bonable.
Yeah, right. Too sexy. It's like an L.A.
He can't stop jamming it.
Kind of an L.A. Bright Lights Big City kind of thing.
Yeah.
So lots of great stuff on there right now. There's always going to be more coming up.
but if you're the kind of movie watcher that you don't have an art house nearby where you live, or if you're the kind of person like me, I've gotten to a point where I can't even use Netflix or Amazon or Hulu. There's
How
too
you
many
supposed
options.
to know what to watch?
I love turning on movie and just picking something I've never experienced before and getting new directors, new actors, and just new people in my life.
That's a great point. And if I can make another great point, someone on Twitter asked if the Cineast cow is the same cow that David Lynch famously
Campaign for Laura Dern's Oscar.
right,
with.
but the side of the road, he hired
Yeah.
a cow and he had her in front of a Laura Dern banner. And of course, that is the same cow, and I knew that, and that was my intention. It's been the same cow the whole time, and it's a very smart, very clever thing that I was in control of.
That's fantastic. So You can try Movie Free for 30 days at Mubi.com/check. That's MUBI.com/check. You can get a whole month of great cinema for free.
No.
How do you feel about Laura Dern?
Well, you cut off.
So rude of me to interrupt.
No.
Great.
Okay.
Back to Miami Vice.
Get this cow out of here.
I gotta get my top 10.
John Michael Vincent sitting in a car in the fucking merciless streets of New York City.
Sure.
Classic. Michael Mann, Neon Noir. These guys try to mug him. He's got a gun. This guy's desperate.
He is.
But I'll say, starting in New York really helps make that hard cut to Miami feel really appetizing.
Yeah. Well, and also I think I would like to rewatch it actually just to see, because like Miami Vice, famous theme. Famous opening theme by Jan Hammer. Great music in general.
You know, I went on a few dates with Jan Hammer's daughter.
Really?
Did you?
Yeah.
How was it?
I messed it up. She was great.
Well,
You mess something up with a girl?
Now she's engaged and doing well.
But like this theme.
I'm sorry. We've now landed on my favorite potential recurring segment for Blank Check. David pups his arms to the Miami Vice theme while Ben recounts romantic regrets. David is just fucking flailing.
Woo!
And Ben is really in his head. You can tell he's got that far off look. He's thinking about all the women he's loved and lost. This is Ben is red. He's staring
Where James
off.
almost is Castillo.
David's pointing.
But I feel like in the first episode,
Sure.
the theme is extended and we kind of just like build into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of awesome.
It feels like the opening to Aliens,
It
where it like takes a long time to come together.
Rules.
Yeah.
So that I just like opening titles.
I do too.
This
thing I miss.
I think you might agree with me. This pilot is best. It's good when people are talking.
Yeah.
It's best when no one's talking.
Yeah.
And there's just music and they're just driving.
And that's example of the thing that people were not doing on TV at the time.
Right. That's the energy and the look that Mann was
Yeah.
like plugging into this, where he's like, we can do something like that. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Because the script is solid. It doesn't have the same sort of like diamond cut dialogue of Mann's best work.
It's got some
Because
fun
he didn't
lines.
write it. Right, but it's like, it's all of his pet themes.
Yeah.
But it
I would
doesn't
say
have
that
his kind of-
Crockett's whole, like, where he's like, why is this amateur out? You know, all his kind of like complaining and his sort of like wise ass line. Like, it's a little forced. It's okay.
Some of it's a little stock TV cop stuff.
But I think Johnson's good. He was this guy who had done some pilots. He was kind of in that mode where like networks are sort of like, this guy seems a little washed up. Like
They didn't want to hire him.
Yeah, he seems like a bad choice.
Nick Nolte, Jeff Bridges were their first choices.
Yeah, sure, great.
That was never going to happen. They were like, what if we got a big movie star to do TV? And they're like, are you kidding me? It would ruin an actor's career were he to go back to TV.
Don Johnson also is like one of those guys with like one of those wild ride Wikipedia pages where it's like 1, early life, 2, acting, 3, music, 4, World Championship powerboat racing.
Whoa.
5, personal life. 5.1, relationships and family. 5.2, legal problems. You know what I mean? Like you're just looking at the chapters and you're like, oh.
He was married to Melanie Griffith twice, and the first time was when she was a teenager. Then they got divorced. Then they remarried about a decade later and had children.
13 years later. Yeah,
That's
crazy.
so weird.
But I mean, like, he's one of those guys where it's like spouses.
And creepy.
Here, I'm reading from his spouses.
Okay.
Spouses. Spouse 1, married 1968, annulled 1968.
No name?
No
listed?
name.
Ooh.
Spouse 2.
The unknown woman.
Spouse 2.
Melanie Griffith?
Spouse 2. Married 1973, annulled 1973.
Wait, what?
Melanie Griffith, married 1976, divorced 1976.
And how old was she in 1976?
I don't-
I'm guessing 16. I'm guessing she was born in 1960.
She was born in 1957, which would make her 19, I think.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Don. You just barely made it.
Melanie Griffith, married 1989, divorced 1996. Like 2 Melanie Griffiths. And then Kelly Flegger, married 1999. They're still together. So I guess he kind of finally just took it easy. I don't know.
That is insane that he has two
Two
unidentified
unnamed spouses that he
marriages
married and annulled.
within the same year. before he met the woman he would then later remarry successfully, and that there are no marriages in between the two Griffiths. There's 13 years in between where he's unmarried.
Everything he had like a partner in there somewhere as well. He's the father of Dakota Johnson,
Of course.
who is now the star of movies.
Yes. I'm a big fan of hers. I think
Dakota, great.
Yeah.
Love Dakota.
Yeah, really.
Don seems like weird energy.
he seems like
He's
weird
kind
energy.
of fun now in this like old like where like
Yes.
people are kind of digging him up for a scene, right? He's in like Django.
Very good in Django. He was very good in Eastbound and Down.
Right. He's in the he's going to be in Knives Out.
Right.
He's in a couple of the S. Craig Zoller racist movies.
Yes.
He's good in them though.
Yeah. But it was one of those things where I think he was viewed as like, oh, this is a guy who's going to make the leap from like
100%.
TV to movies. And then it didn't really happen.
No.
Really? I always assumed that he was just like a schlocky TV actor. That
People-
was always the vibe of the joke of
But
him.
in the 80s, it's like, the hot spot or,
Right.
what else we got here?
But I feel like his legacy was
Dead Bang. Have you heard of that one? John Frankenheimer movie.
he was a little bit of a Rick Dalton-esque figure, right? Where everyone was like, oh, man, but when Miami Vice ends, his movie career is going to be huge.
Rick Dalton, for people, because it's brand new this episode.
Sure.
Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leo DiCaprio.
Right.
He is like that.
Yes.
I think Rick Dalton's even more on the downswing. But
Yes.
it is that guy where it's like, he kind of had his bite at the apple at the
Yeah.
leading man shit. He might just be a heavy now.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Right.
casting him as a leading man would almost just make us look bad.
And also, his next big thing after Miami Vice, the only thing that really kind of stuck was him going back to TV, like
Right.
10
Nash
years
Bridges.
later,
Right.
and just being like, now I'm just the old cop. Now I'm like the cop who isn't cool.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. Now I want to watch the Nash Bridges theme.
But there's like a bit.
Cheech Marin in that one, I think.
He later joined.
I think he's in the, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I thought he joined later. Okay. And
Don Johnson?
yeah. I would always get
Nash
Nash Bridges and Martial Law confused. Martial
right.
Law was Chuck Norris? No,
no,
because
Chuck
he
Norris
was
is,
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, Avec Cheech Marin. I guess these are the French titles.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, no, James Gammon. Oh, love James Gammon, the coach from Major League. Jamie P. Gomez.
Martial Law
Joey
was
Leonard
Sammo
Key.
Hung and Arsenio Hall,
Arsenio Hall?
created by Carlton Cuse.
Right. Carlton Cuse and I believe Damon Lindelof both worked on Nash Bridges. At least Cuse did.
Yeah.
Cuse was one of those guys who did schlocky stuff.
Right.
Lindelof was more the sort of like, I'm the kind of like the weird sci-fi
Right,
guy,
but those CBS cop shows, Walker, Martial Law,
Yeah, in the
and,
90s.
and Nash Bridges, right, we're running the table. And that's, then he found that zone, and now he's hit a certain pocket of, I think, people who grew up with him and thought he was the coolest guy when they were watching Miami Vice when they were 13, now cast him in things.
Right.
That's what it feels like. I mean, all these guys like Ryan Johnson and Tarantino and McBride and Hill are all in the age range to have been like, Don Johnson, that's the coolest guy.
That guy was fucking, he was like
Right.
the alpha male of American culture for a year.
But he was viewed as like sort of like a cursed pilot actor.
Yes.
There's certain people
He
who
was
get
the
that
Lauren
reputation.
Graham of his day. Yeah.
Right, where it's like-
show killer.
Right. They like do like 6 pilots in a row as a lead, and they go like,
Paget Bruce.
is he the commonality here? Is our audience is turned off by them until they get the one, and at that point, it's like this is their last shot. The network doesn't want to hire them.
Right.
They hire him, and it totally makes the show.
It does. He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. But I do think I like the pilot. I think it's a lot of fun to watch when it's incredibly easy to watch.
Very easy.
Like I threw it on and I was like immediately like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
what's going on here? Like, tell me more.
Right.
Tell me more about the shotgun in New York. Like, yeah, right. Don't really care about the drug deal. Like the details
Sure.
of everything that's going on. I'm like, I get it. There's a bad guy from Colombia.
But the thing
And
that's
they're all tangled up in his net, right?
the thing
Yeah.
that's interesting is in an hour and 40-minute pilot, I would say it takes until the halfway point for them to really
to meet.
Yeah.
100%.
Because it's like these two guys
takes
are
its time.
independently tracking the same deal.
Right. Also, it has the advantage that it uses Jimmy Smits, who's going to be on LA Law in a couple of years, but
Yeah.
he's still kind of like this like face.
God,
You know what I mean?
and what a face!
And,
it is.
and it's one, he's in the first 5-10 minutes? 10
Yeah.
minutes, right?
He's got 2 scenes essentially.
He's Don's partner.
Yeah,
He's going to get married, right? He's getting ready to get married.
I think he's getting married. They're getting ready to have a kid. Am I
Something
wrong about
like that.
Yeah.
And he's he's nervous about that, right? And they sort of
he's
talking
starting a
about
family
it.
is the point.
Right. And then he blows up.
He blows up because they're making a deal with a guy who has turned on the big drug dealer they were trying to take down.
Right.
What does he say? Price of business or capitalism?
Right.
That he has turned on him and is like, I can get you a better deal. And they're like, this is not helpful. This is not what we're trying to do here. Right. They realize that drug lord rigged his car up with a bomb.
A bomb?
Smits dies in it, and then there's some really good Don Johnson just broken, sort of like
the scene where he goes to the diner, to where the wife is a waitress, is phenomenal. And the guy, you see the boss, stand in the way to block anyone else from entering it's good stuff.
And they don't cut to coverage.
No.
Like she collapses. She's wailing, and he's doing that thing where he bear hugs her to just try to support her. And you just stay in this wide shot of the guy standing by the door, him in the kitchen of the diner with her.
Right. He's good at being broken. All that 80s stuff is fun where he's got the divorced wife.
Right.
Who's like, man, I like you. You're just a fuck up. And he's like, I know.
And that scene is
and now this shit is the most cliche. If you did a pilot now where it's he's kind of a jerk. He's an absent father. We'd all be like, get out of here.
But this anti-hero stuff is
but this is new in the 80s. Oh, he's dark.
Yeah.
He's
also,
not a nice family man.
I'll say a move that I think is really
he's
good.
He's got a crocodile in his boat?
Well, we'll get
alligator.
to that.
Sorry, alligator. Yes, please.
Big difference.
Okay. What's it called?
Elvis.
That's right.
What?
They took that out of this movie.
Oh, yeah. God.
Kind of nuts that they weren't even. Yeah, fuck that. Why would he have an alligator? That's
Imagine
ludicrous.
if he.
I just feel like Michael Mann's what? You can't have it.
How cool.
Get the fuck out of here.
I also think he probably vetoed the alligator solely because he knew it would be satisfying to audiences.
I don't know. She's giving us a look. Do we have to wrap up soon?
Who's waving us?
Come in.
Rachel? Is it Rachel? Hi, Rachel. Do you have a podcast to do?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We're almost done.
We're almost done.
We're going to be done.
We're just.
You can put this computer here.
How
are you doing, Rachel?
Supremely over.
Rachel's carrying a computer. She's doing okay. We've been recording too many episodes, and our episodes are long. I'm just stating fundamental facts about our existence right now. Can I say, I want to ask you guys this.
What's up?
But yeah, Rachel, we'll be done in 15-ish.
Double thumbs up from Rachel.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Rachel. Sorry, Rachel. I'm getting very sick of my brain.
Your brain?
Because of the amount of time we're spending recording this podcast.
Okay.
I'm God, I don't want to hear myself.
Oh, you're getting sick of hearing yourself talk?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a milestone.
That is a milestone.
To the point where now when I have inner voice thoughts, I'm just shut
up.
Fuck up. I've spent enough
the host
time
a blank check in my head?
listening to this.
Oh, shut up. People love it.
People love it.
So
not me.
We were talking about.
I'm glad they love it because to me, this is starting to feel like a burden.
No bueno. Well, the other thing is you forget people are listening to you once a week. You have to listen to you every day.
All the time.
Day. Too much time.
Yeah.
Elvis isn't in it. What was I going to say? The move I like is that he shows up. You didn't realize that all this was happening on the day of his son's birthday.
Right.
He shows up with a box.
It's such hacky, corny shit.
But this is what I like. The wife starts giving him the business. Oh, look who decided to show up just in time. Everyone else at the party is putting on their coats. The parents are taking their kids with them. I love that Don Johnson doesn't defend himself at all.
Yeah.
He's got the best excuse in the world, which is my partner died today. I had to deliver the news to his wife, right? And he's like, no, I am a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to let her call me a piece of shit, even though I have the one good excuse. And he walks in.
Right. He could kind of trump her here.
The kid's excited you showed up. Of course, I wouldn't miss it for the world. And he's just dealing with the kid on his level. And he waits a couple minutes before he tells him that the partner died, at which point everyone in the party immediately shifts from viewing him as the deadbeat to being like,
well, they're like, oh, fuck. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that moment's really strong.
That's fair.
That's a moment that feels nuanced in a Michael Mann way, whereas the rest of that scene feels like, the stock type, sort of like the guy can't get out of his own way.
But the thing I responded to most is just, obviously the very famous, probably the most famous thing about Miami Vice, scene in which they silently drive to what could be their deaths, and the Phil Collins in the air of the night,
Right.
in the air tonight, plays over the, and it's just like that's. I feel like that's what people still remember about Miami Vice more than anything.
That feeling.
That's when I was the most locked into this thing, and that does feel like the Michael Mann magic, where he's like, "You're allowed to do this." I demand.
There you go.
Right?
Changes
I
TV
don't know
forever.
what else to say about this. I really like it, but like I wasn't really compelled to watch more.
No, because I feel a sense of resolution watching this. That's the weird
kind
thing.
of that, right? And also, it's so notorious. Like Miami Vice season 1 was great, tons of Emmy nominations.
Yeah.
The only reason I want to keep watching,
Yeah.
I want to get to Eddie.
Edward
James Olmos, because he's not in the
he's
first 3
episode 4.
episodes. Yeah, he shows up. He's like their new lieutenant in like episode 4.
Right.
And he is by acclamation best actor in the show. He's the only one who won an acting award. He won an Emmy. He might have won 2. Like everyone loved him.
Because their chief
just
in
love
this
him.
feels a little stagey.
Yeah, he's fine. He stays in the show, I think, but he's
Okay.
fine. He's whatever.
Yeah.
Like John Deal shows up. Like the cast is not yet built out, right? So I would sort of be fun to see that. But season 1, amazing. Season 2, okay. There's 3 more seasons, but like you can check like
It's
Emmy,
like the
Emmy
OC.
nominations
Yeah.
not happening anymore.
Right. And the ratings drop.
Well, OC season 4 is a masterpiece.
I ate all the pretzels.
The pretzels are gone. I got the last pretzel. It's right
These
here.
pretzels are making me thirsty.
Oh boy.
Great
Seinfeld.
episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to say anything? I'm done talking.
Yeah, I know. The thing I like is that it's not an odd couple narrative. It's not like they have friction with each other. There's the initial friction of like, wait a second, like that moment when the whole deal gets completely fucked up by like the backup showing up 5 minutes too early.
Yeah.
Tubbs on his own separate mission, interloping.
Right.
That like Johnson's got this all figured out. Like, here's my victory lap. I can take it all down. And everyone else is like not communicating with everyone else, and they fuck it up. And then it's the thing of like, wait, you're a cop too. We got to figure this out. I like the reveal that Tubbs has taken his brother's name to sort of avenge his brother's death.
Yeah, that's a pretty fun twist. Like sort of like a nice third act twist, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
When they
cool.
look him up and they go like, this guy's dead.
And he's like, this is the traitor. And he's like, no, man. Like,
Right.
it's just like, there's no way else I could have done this. I had to take my brother was the good cop. Like,
Right.
and you have those flashbacks to the deal going wrong.
Yeah.
Those are cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of those are really good. And
Yeah.
it's nice that it sort of just ends on they catch the guy.
Yeah.
The guy immediately gets bailed out.
Right. Someone on Reddit said that that's a pretty common way that like the show is pretty cynical.
Yeah.
Often they don't get their guy. You know what I mean? Like, it had that kind of vibe, which is he appreciated that about the movie because the movie,
Right.
they get Yarrow, but they don't get the big guy.
There are
They
systemic
suffer
issues
some
at play
losses. Right.
that they can't defeat.
It's going to just keep on going.
Right. It's like The Incredibles too. Yeah. I like that a lot, but I enjoy this. I feel like this feels like watching like a little man bonus thing. It feels like watching Jericho Mile or watching LA
We did already do
Takedown.
Jericho Mile. Right.
Right.
That's on our Patreon.
Yes. But it's weird that it's not him, and it's still so influenced by him, and that the influence of this show changes the entire landscape of television to make television feel more like Michael Mann movies,
And then
which we've already talked about in other.
In ER, you've got steady cam shots, and that's when it's really done and dusted.
Man, you love ER.
Best.
Best. We were saying before recording this, my mom only watched 2 TV shows when I was growing up, and they were ER and Seinfeld. And it was like she was like, I don't like TV.
Literally
TV's
like
dumb.
the top 2 shows of the 90s.
Right. These are the 2 shows worth watching.
Right. Now, we're done with Michael Mann. It's been a blast. I think it's been fun.
We're almost done with Miyazaki as well.
We are.
We've been recording
Which
like
is
crazy.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Love to keep ahead.
Yes.
But time for your rankings, man. It's 12 movies if you include Jericho Mile.
Time for your rankings. Man. Add another N to that.
Right. Well done.
Man, I think people are going to think my rankings are crazy.
Go, please. Okay, then
The
you
boy's
go.
crazy for this
Or
one.
should
You
I go
first.
first?
You go
Because mine will
first.
probably be more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I think there'll be someone.
You
Maybe
go
not.
first.
Number 1, Heat.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Miami Vice.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, The Insider.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Collateral.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, Thief.
Mm-hmm.
Doing great.
Okay.
Number 6, Manhunter.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, Ali.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, Last of the Mohicans.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, Black Hat. Number 10, Public Enemies. Number 11, Jericho Mile. Number 12, The Keep.
Okay, let me see if I have this done correctly. People are going to be angry with me. So there should be 10 and 12 in total.
If you're including Jericho Mile.
Okay. I'm gonna do this. And people aren't gonna like it. Okay, ready?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 1, Thief.
Wow.
I'll say it's the one that's lingered with me the most.
Rules.
And I got so amped when we did that one, and I was like, fuck, this is gonna be like this, but I haven't. That was the biggest rush I got. And it's kind of just a perfect little thing.
Sure.
It's weird to say that he hit it the hardest at the first time out, but it is also such a perfect distillation of everything he does well. Number 2, Heat. I'm not a moron. I'm not going to deny Heat. I'm just saying, for some reason, Thief works for me a little better.
Okay.
Number 3, The Insider.
Sure. Mine, number 3, too.
Which I kind of think would be my number 1, if not for how bad the wife character is.
Okay. Sure.
You know, it's like there are a couple things in the movie that are so bad that almost are outweighed by the fact that the rest of it I like the most out of his entire oeuvre.
Cool.
Then I go Manhunter.
Okay.
Then I go Ali.
Okay.
Ali I feel like I like more than most.
Sure.
Probably because of how many times it played my home growing up.
Yeah.
With my weird brother. A 9-year-old who is obsessed with Michael Mann's Ali. Then I go Collateral.
Collateral's what? What are we? What number are we at here? 7?
We are at 3, 4, 5, 6.
6. Collateral's number 6. Great.
Number 7 is Public Enemies.
Jesus. All right. This is where I'm mad at you. Yeah, Miami Vice should be above Public Enemies. Come on.
Then you're really not going to like what happens.
Number 8, Black Hat.
Number 8 is Black Hat.
That's What's number?
And
9?
those two are kind of split by a hair. I think Public Enemies has higher highs. Black Hat's more consistent.
Sure.
I like both those movies more than most people.
No,
then I go
like
Miami
all
Vice.
These movies, to be clear.
Yes. Yep. Pretty much the same with me. Then I go Miami Vice.
Fucked up.
Then I go Last of the Mohicans, a movie I'm just not crazy about.
I like them.
And here's the thing. Not my kind of movie. I think it's well done. When we did the episode, people on Twitter, and I want to shut this shit down.
Okay.
Were saying that they thought the episode was dragged down by Dana Stevens' lack of enthusiasm.
A couple people said this.
It made me very angry.
Me too, because
I don't want to
Dana's
make
a
it sound like it was
fucking
too many
genius.
people. Dana's a fucking genius.
Yeah.
And they were also like, oh man, the boys weren't flipping out for this movie because their guest didn't like it as much.
Relax.
First of all, fucking relax.
Yeah. Jesus.
Second of all, we don't end our episodes with like a fucking star rating.
No. We talk about the episode. We talk about the movie.
It's not my favorite movie. I like it less than Dana. So if anyone, I'm dragging the episode
Okay,
down.
you drag her.
I know it was only a couple people, but it made me very angry.
Okay.
Because it has to be restated. Dana Stevens is a genius. Then I go The Keep. And then I go Jericho Mile.
Cool.
Feels like you got to put Jericho Mile last, just because it's like not as much of a movie.
Put that above The Keep.
There's something about The Keep.
There is. There's undeniably something about The Keep.
There's something about it.
I fully agree with that. Anyway.
I don't know. Is the episode out? What do we?
That's it, right?
Yeah, Rachel brought in the computer.
One more thing.
What?
We're going to play the box office game from Public Enemy.
Oh, fuck. We're going to do it again.
Yeah. Right?
Okay.
Yep. That's what we're going to do.
Okay, but I'm going to ask for one more thing. I'm going to prep something while you're doing that. So this is also now a test of memory because we recorded a Public Enemies episode maybe 10 weeks ago.
A while ago.
Yeah. 10 years ago? Yeah, it was probably 10 weeks ago.
Yep.
We did that one fairly early in the recording room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 1 on July 3rd, 2009. It's a sequel.
Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. See, I think I'm going to do too well in this.
Well, let's find out. Number 2, $43 million. 42. One of the worst films of all time. Probably Michael Bay's worst movie.
Revenge of the Fallen is so bad.
So bad. Unforgivably bad.
Yeah.
Unforgivably bad. Anyway, then they made 5 more Transformers movies. Number 2, animated film. New this week. $41 million opening weekend.
It's Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
Yeah. Number 3?
Number 3 is Public Enemies?
That's right. Also opening $25 million.
Okay. See, it's just like if you'd heard it the first time. You're not missing anything.
Number 4.
Uh-huh.
I think this box office game was pretty quick, actually.
I do too. I think I had these. I remember this weekend.
Yeah. Number 4, romantic comedy.
Number 4 is a romantic comedy.
In its third weekend, it's making $12 million.
Oh, The Proposal?
Number 5, comedy.
Mm-hmm.
In its fifth week, it's made $205 million.
Hangover.
There you go.
Okay, wow.
We did it.
I'm trying to find the ratings for the pilot episode of Miami Vice.
Oh, I don't know if you'll do that. But here, to give some completion, because we recorded Spirited Away today,
Mm-hmm.
also opening 64th on 3 screens, making $5,000, is Nia Vardalos' I Hate Valentine's Day.
Wow.
One of the more demented movies ever made. Truly, 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 truly bizarre movie.
Never seen it.
If you ever have the misfortune to watch it, that's too bad.
And that's a little teaser for the fact.
Written and directed by Nia.
Yeah, that's her only time she directed, right?
I think so.
It's a little teaser for the fact that our Spirited Away episode, of course, has a 20-minute tangent about My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Of course. Fantastic.
Yeah,
it's the only one because she also co-wrote Connie and Carla and My Big Fat Greek Wedding too.
And what about My Life in Ruins, my friend?
She didn't write that.
She didn't write that?
No, that was a Nia Vardalos vehicle. They took another script and put her in it. The only other thing she wrote was...
What?
Come on.
Big Fat Greek Wedding 2?
No, I said that already. What's the other thing? She's not in it.
Oh! She co-wrote Larry Crown.
That's right.
She put a crown on it.
She did.
Okay, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try to do this. Okay, the night of September 16th, 1984. Okay? I'm talking primetime slot, 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock. The big 3 networks, ABC, CBS, NBC.
Right.
What do you think the top program of the night was?
Miami Vice.
Well, this is weird. Okay, you know what it is?
What is it?
It's a different show called ER starring Elliot Gould.
E/R.
E/R.
Yeah. Which, weirdly, George Clooney was on.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, this is
That was a comedy. It was a sitcom set in an emergency room.
Yeah.
Yes.
Elliot Gould, Mary McDonald, Conchata Farrell.
Yeah, that's a CBS
Jason Alexander.
show. That was a big show. It was
huge.
It only ran one season. It didn't make it very far, but when it launched, it was like Elliot Gould back on TV.
Yeah.
Mary McDonald, big show.
It gets a 23 in the ratings.
Fuck.
Huge. Okay?
Huge.
And that's the pilot episode.
Yep.
Airing the same night as Miami Vice, which is number 2 with 22.8 million.
Okay, so very close.
Okay. The third highest rated show of the evening of September.
So you're not
16th.
You're not doing a time slot, you're just doing the night?
I mean, the time slot, there are only 3 shows.
Yeah. So what's the third show? That's on CBS. Okay, fine. All right. What was the third highest rated?
David, ER was on from 8 to 9,
Yeah.
and Miami Vice was on from 9 to
10. Or 9 to 11. Right. It's
correct.
a 2-hour show.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they weren't in the same time slot.
But they're on different networks, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But what was Miami Vice up against? The movie Some Kind of Hero,
Okay.
which got a 19.5.
That's back in the day. People watch TV movies.
And the Denver Broncos Cleveland Browns game. So that's not interesting. I'm asking you for the top ratings of the night. They don't have to be in the same slot. Okay? I'm asking you for the night. What do you think the third highest rated thing was of the night? I'll give you a hint.
Wait, I have a guess.
What?
The A-Team.
Nope.
Damn it. All right, give me a hint.
We've kind of covered it on the TV show, on the podcast before.
What?
We've kind of covered this TV show on the podcast before. Kind of. We've talked about it extensively because of one of the movies we've covered.
I have no idea.
I'm so tired.
To the extent that I would say we kind of have covered
What
it on
is
the
it?
podcast.
Give me more hints. I don't know.
We covered it on this very mini-series.
This very
On this very mini-series, we covered what was the third highest rated program of
MASH.
the night. September 16th, 1984.
Yeah, that was.
Michael Mann has connections to 2 of these shows, both the Miami Vice pilot.
What is it?
He had
Crime Story?
Nothing
Not
to do
Crime
with
Story, is it?
E/R.
No.
Well, he wasn't connected to the show at the time, but later it would become a big part of his filmography.
Oh.
He had no involvement in the series as it was airing,
Okay.
and in fact, it's still airing.
It's still airing?
In fact, it's still airing. But it would later become a very crucial part of his filmography. See, this is kind of fun, right?
Very crucial.
This is a real stumper, and this is fun, and you're going to get so excited when you figure it out, and everyone loves this. This is
It's not
worth
The
time.
Simpsons. I'm trying to think of shows that still. 60 Minutes.
22.1, baby.
Fuck.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's number 3. Number 4, I already spoiled, is the movie Some Kind of Hero. What is that movie even? Got a 19.5? That's insane.
I think it's about some kind of hero.
Okay, and then
It's a Richard Pryor movie. It must have just been like for the first time on TV. Yeah.
and then here we go. The number 5. Can you guess the number?
Why the
5?
What? No.
It's on
What is it?
NBC
So is the lead in.
at 7:30.
Oh, it's 7:30. Jesus.
Yes.
Okay.
NBC at
It's a sitcom.
7:30. It's a sitcom, and I mean, big rating. It's a new episode. It's part 1 of 3.
Part 1 of 3.
It's a Sunday night. It's lead in with Silver Spoons, and I'll say, pretty good pairing these two shows together. There's a real vibe to this block. David has given up. He has surrendered.
Clues.
He is loading bullets into a gun. He's pointing them at my
Remember
temple.
how you said you were sick of hearing you talk?
Yeah, you know how
Don't worry,
I
we
feel,
only have
David.
one more episode and then a Six Flags trip this week.
Great. We
I don't
do
know.
it.
I'm looking
for
up
the
Silver
fans.
Spoons now.
Silver Spoons did pretty well. Got a 9.6, but this one was blowing the roof off the door. Blowing the roof off the door. What the fuck am I saying? I'm tired of my own voice. 11.5. And there's rumors now they're going to reboot this show for Netflix with the original star. Rumors now. They're going to reboot the show for Netflix.
I
with the
have a
original
guess.
Star. Yes?
Punky Brewster?
Nailed it.
Yes.
Nice.
What an episode.
Yes.
Triumph.
I loved Punky Brewster.
You can't fade this shit. You know what I'm
They're
saying?
rebooting Punky Brewster?
With Soleil Moonfrog, I think, adopting a kid or something.
Is she going to be Punky?
Yeah.
Is she going to wear different colored Converses?
Probably.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think now she's going to be the parent.
Yeah, it's like Degrassi or whatever. It's right,
That's
next
a fuller
generation.
house.
All right. Well, how many? Oh, Jesus, an hour, 20 minutes. We done.
Okay, get the fuck out of here.
Woo!
Thank you all for listening. Please
Goodbye.
remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to Andrew Guda for our social media, Lane Montgomery for our theme song, Joe Bowen and Pat Rounds for our work. Go to blankies.reddit.com for some real nerdy shit. Go to TeePublic for some real nerdy shirts. Go to our Patreon for some real nerdy commentaries. What are we up to now? What's the next one? Well, we got the Six Flags.
Well,
No, Guardians is next, though. Guardians will drop on Wednesday or whatever. Right. Or August 1st. Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Guardians will have
just
dropped.
Just dropped. Right.
Guardians with David Ehrlich. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. David's holding onto the table. We're rocking the house.
Yeah, it drops today, right? It's the August 1st.
Right. And then the next
Six
episode,
Flags. Unless anything goes drastically wrong, the next episode's going to be Six
assuming
Flags.
nothing goes horrifically wrong, we're going to Six Flags.
nothing's going wrong. It's going to go better than good. It's
We're
going
going
to
to
be
New
best.
Jersey. The only question is, and you're going to have to tune in, you're going to have to throw down your money on Patreon to get the answer. Will David wear a Bane mask, a Batman
probably a
cowl,
Bane mask.
or Joker makeup?
Probably.
I bought lav mics. I have a 3D mic. I have mobile rigging. You guys are gonna get
Mobile rigging.
We're going on the Dark
gonna
Knight
get
coaster.
Your asses knocked off by how good this
We're
stuff
going on
is.
Batman the Ride based on the Burton film. And Ben, there's a Joker roller coaster there that David says he doesn't want to go on because it's a little too twisted. But why don't
not
you want to
doing
go
that
on
shit.
it?
I don't like roller coasters.
But what part don't you like?
Twisted.
Yeah! Yeah! Chaos reigns!
That thing's going to be out soon. The Joker, he's going to be back.
Too
Clown Prince of
twisted!
Crime.
Too twisted!
That's it. You're done.
Okay, and as always, the Joker's twisted.